You're listening to langaugecaster.com's football language podcast. Hello there. Thanks for dropping by. My name's Damon, one half of the LanguageCaster team. The other half is Damian, who is across the world from me in London. I, meanwhile, am in a beautiful autumnal Tokyo. This podcast series and our site is a great place to come if you want to improve your English while also talking about the beautiful game of football. On today's short football language podcast, we'll take a look at the phrase acres of space and some other phrases connected to it. Before we do that, if you like what we do here at LanguageCaster, please show us by leaving comments, sharing our podcasts and posts, and maybe also by leaving a donation to help keep us up and running.
Você está ouvindo langaugecaster.com.
Yes, you are listening to languagecaster.com, and that message was in Portuguese. Thank you, Akiko. Okay, to be in acres of space. Let's take a look at this phrase. First of all, we have acre, which is a measure of area like hectare or square meters. And an acre is roughly the size of 2 football pitches, actually 1.75 football pitches, but 2 is easy to remember. It's an Old English word and has been largely replaced by metric measures like metres and hectares. But football, with its roots in British history, still uses a lot of old measurements. For example, the 6-yard area. And the penalty spot is 12 yards from the goal line, etc. Now, back to the phrase. If you say a player is in acres of space, you mean there is no opponent near them. They are standing in a lot of space, acres of space. Here's an example from Marca. Manchester United shifted the ball from left to right, and that meant Bruno Fernandes had acres of space on the right-hand side of the box, but he fired his shot high and wide of Alisson's goal. Here the verb is have or had. Fernandes had acres of space. Another way to say a player has a lot of space or too much space if you are the defending team is to say they have the freedom of the park. When you use this phrase or acres of space, you're criticizing the defending team for not being tight enough, close enough to the player with the ball. Here's an example from a game last year between Leicester and Liverpool on 90minutes.in. With Leicester more or less camped inside their own third, the 21-year-old had the freedom of the park, firing characteristically inviting crosses into the box. The opposing team can also give a player the freedom of the park. So Leicester gave Trent Alexander-Arnold the freedom of the park. Our final phrase to talk about players in a position where they have a lot of space is all the time in the world. She's got all the time in the world means, again, there is no opposing player close enough to pressure the ball carrier. Here's an example from the Irish Times. A 4-0 victory would not have flattered Inter, for whom Cassano and elegant Colombian playmaker Freddy Guarin seem to have all the time in the world to look up and pick out the tempting green space behind Jan Vertonghen and William Gallas.
Vous écoutez languagecaster.com.
Yes, you are listening to languagecaster.com, and thank you for that message in French. Right, that brings us to the end of this short football language podcast. We had 3 phrases to say a player is being given too much time and space. He's in acres of space. They've given him the freedom of the park. He has all the time in the world to play a pass. Drop us a line anytime at admin@languagecaster.com. You can read the transcript for the show on our website at languagecaster.com and post on our forum too. And if you like what we do, as we said at the start of the show, leave a donation to keep our site up and running. Enjoy all the football. Ta-ra!